What's up, everybody, and welcome back into Play the Fight Song College Football Show. Appreciate you joining the 37th best college football podcast on the top 100 college football podcasts, according to FeedSpot. If you're new to here for the first time, subscribe to the channel, like the video. We cover college football content all year long. The boys are here, not all of them, but some of them. If you are listening to us on podcasts, you know who's gone. My name is Jake, as always, joined by my friends JP, Jordan Pierce, and Reese, as we are missing our usual voice of the podcast, Cam Parks.
There you go.
He is on if you listen to the show on a regular basis, you already know what Cam's doing. He's just a businessman. I mean, the guy just continues to travel on business, doing
people need steaks.
Yeah, I don't really know what he's doing. He's just slinging steaks, he's selling steaks, advertising steaks. I don't know. He's
Eating
probably
steaks.
doing something important. So yeah. Anyways, we miss you, Cam. If you're listening to us on Twitter or something, comment below.
He's on a plane.
Oh, is he? Is he back
Gotta
to
be.
Omaha
close.
at this point? All right, let's check in with everybody else here. JP, just pre-service, like we got to pick up JP here. If you're listening to us on live here on YouTube, he's had a rough couple of hours. His basketball team can't get a win. The refs are against him. Bad dinner. Jordan, we ready to turn things around for a great show tonight?
Dude, just one of those
Right
signs where like
shit,
there's
baby.
nothing that can go right and little things are like getting you a little pissed off. But yeah, the basketball officiating was infuriating. That was just one of those. That's what's Big Ten struggle in the postseason. They call every little ticky tack thing during Big Ten play, and then get into the tournament and they don't call anything, and everybody's soft. It's just one of those things, man.
Big Ten basketball, summer
That's
built
my
for
take
it.
on Big Ten
Summer
officiating.
nine. Shout out to GA in the comments at AWL each and every single week. He says Parks is a business. Yeah, I think so too.
This is true.
He just kind of operates. I will give Parks his credit. He does operate a lot of behind the scenes stuff for the show. That is kind of a thankless job at times. That is enough for me. Like hyping up Parks. I don't give him too many compliments. I can't give him too many compliments. So, Reese, let's check in with you, boss. We ready? You get back from drill, and the national championship is right around the corner. Exciting times ahead.
What a time to be alive. We're about to watch the first team to potentially ever go 16-0 in college football, or we're about to see a team kind of return to the glory and everything like that. So yeah, what a time to be a college football fan.
We can always count on Reese for stats like that. I know it's kind of an obvious one, but it's a subtle one he just throws in right away, and I didn't even really think about as we're covering this game tonight. So yes, we will be talking national championship. The portal is just in an absolute tornado right now as it gets to the finish line, at least for those who are going to enter the portal. Friday deadline, correct? Am I correct in saying that?
I think it's
Friday the 16th.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so too. It's kind of like calm waters. And then Dante Moore said he was not entering the NFL draft, and all hell is breaking loose again. So we'll cover all that as well as any other college football topics if we get on a rant, because if you know anything about myself and my Iowa State show, I just kind of like to ramble. It's kind of one of my favorite things. So
Guy likes football. What's he supposed to do?
I just get on here and ramble about college football for an hour and 15 minutes. What's better than that? Shall we jump into it, gentlemen? Since we probably have an hour to cover a lot of stuff. Let's get into it first. I know I adjusted the doc a little bit, JP, if you saw that. I'm sure you did. We are going to cover the transfer portal news right away, but I think we should start it off. It's not, I guess, it's kind of transfer portal related, but the Dante Moore situation, the Dante Moore news, if you guys didn't see it today, Oregon quarterback, one of the top prospects, was going to be one of the top prospects in this year's draft, especially at the quarterback position, has decided he wants to make a little more extra cash. Phil Knight said, stick around a little bit. I think I can match your NFL rookie signing bonus at least for 1 year. And he is going to be staying for the 2026 season. Massive news, I think, for Oregon. Obviously, I think it's massive news for the landscape of college football. We don't cover a ton of NFL content around here, fellas, but I think if we wanted to do the NFL draft quarterback prospect thing this year, shakes up a ton of things like on that side of things. And maybe we will touch on that towards the end of this topic. But Dante staying for 2026 means for what, Jordan, for Oregon this year?
What it means is a lack of a transition year, right? For the first time in a couple of years where they felt like they've had to have a new starter. And not to come out slow in the offense, has struggled at times like early in the year, but to bring guy back, understanding it's a new OC, but probably going to be the same scheme. It's going to be the same shell of an offense where you don't have to learn completely everything brand new. And if you can keep a lot of these receivers, or, there's not that much turnover, it's a really young receiving core. You can then keep a lot of them and keep them on the same page with the quarterback. They got to learn. I think that's a bigger piece than being brought out, into the light. A lot of it is like Oregon, yes, is going to be really good based on what they've brought portal wise, but what you keep and retain sometimes holds a little more water than what you're bringing in externally, at least in my opinion. Obviously there's situations that changes, but this one feels like their retention pieces have gone a long ways for Oregon.
Let's talk about the other piece of it. Dylan Raiola. And I wish we kind of had Parks on here to, I don't know, I feel like Parks would gloat in this situation. I think he'd be like, that's too bad, buddy. As I don't know, is it a bad situation for Dylan Raiola? As far as we know right now, he's going to learn from Dante Moore, unless we might get to that. Somebody else might throw him some money because there are a couple teams out there that could still use a quarterback. I don't think anything is pen to paper. But Reese, if you're a betting man, what are the what's the percentage you would give if Raiola stays at Oregon for 2026?
I would say, would it be wrong to say less than 50%? Like, unless Phil Knight also decides to throw how much money to him? Because, when Dante was the backup, I'm pretty sure they still gave him a good bag to stick around there. It's like, do the coaches be like, hey, we would like him around, give him some extra money because you got to pay him enough. Look how much he just make at Nebraska, and you're going to be taking a cut to stay there. So, do you want to get your money now? Do you think you're going to be a good NFL, or everybody wants to be a big time, NFL quarterback, but guys realizing, get your money while you can. So I would say there's a good chance he could go somewhere else. We still got it, plenty of schools elsewhere, but is that starting quarterback pay at that school going to match what you can be as a backup for Oregon too? I think that's kind of the thing. It sucks that it's not like, hey, go somewhere where you can develop, because he can develop here, but it's it's also do you want to go somewhere where you can play and get paid right away? Or look what happened for Dante Moore. He stayed as a backup for Gabriel last year, and now he was potentially going to be a top 2 pick. So it's also, if you stay there, do you develop, and does that your stock go up? So it's just, what do you want to do, Dylan?
A guy who's had to mature really early, and really fast. It makes me think man, I'm sure they've paid him already, or the offer's still there for him, a few $1,000,000 to potentially. We haven't even talked about he could redshirt this year and play his 4 games. I've heard some rumors about changing the redshirt rule. I'm not. It's 9.
Voted.
9. So you can play 3 now? Is that my understanding?
No. The other way around. You were able to play in 4 and still keep your red shirt. You're now able to play in 9 to keep your red shirt.
You can play in 9 football games?
That was unanimously voted on by coaches, I believe.
I did hear that today, and I thought I misheard it. And obviously, bad pod
would like that number.
Bad podcasting.
It's easier to do that, from my understanding, than to say 5 for 5 years. Right, you get 5 years right off the bat instead of 4. But for the Raiola thing, is there more? I'd like to know the real decision making behind him leaving, right? Because this whole idea of him even going to Nebraska was this savior. He was I'm going to be a savior. I'm coming home. I'm going to change everything. And he put out that AI driven poem that he committed or whatever. And
somebody sounds
he
better
thrust
about that.
himself into the limelight. Like, I think that's the situation. You put yourself in that situation. You didn't really hold back in how you presented yourself to the outside world. And you also come from a, what was he, 4 high schools?
Yeah.
Now he's going to be on a second college. Like, maybe it does do good to get
Bear Alexander 2.0
put in the background and learn and just kind of have the limelight off you and understand that there's a lot more growth that can happen in the situation. Or maybe, maybe there was some form of, he didn't feel like the Nebraska offense with Holgorsen was really helping him improve, right? A lot of what he was doing was,
and I don't think it was, by the way.
Sideline. That's just the offense, though, right? And if you hire Holgorsen knowing you have a role of waiting, that's kind of a rule thing. It's a lot of screens. It's a lot of quick game, 5 yards down the field. And they had good pieces. The problem is they couldn't run the ball unless it was Emmett Johnson making some unreal play. The offensive line was kind of trash, and he missed a lot of throws. So maybe it is a little scheme driven, right? I feel like I can go somewhere here where maybe schemes the guys. That's just how it works. And you got a lot of guys that are going to get open one-on-one, and we can make those throws and kind of show off the arm in the town a little bit more. I'm sure that had some influence in it.
Also, too, Dante Moore must trust the new play caller. And I don't remember his name on the top of my head, but Oregon basically hired within. They're promoting an OC as Will Stein took the head coaching job at Kentucky. So Moore staying tells me that he trusts the guy they promoted. The Oregon fans, I haven't heard any complaints about it. They must be ready for this young guy to take over that reins, which is really, I don't know. I think it's a positive thing for Dante Moore, who's switching OCs now. And he's like, yeah, I still feel comfortable about running this offense. It's going to be the same thing. And the 9 redshirt rule changes everything. Now that tells me, like, now that I know that's official, I think it's like a 75% chance that Dylan Raiola stays, because Oregon's going to do Oregon things this year, man. Like, Dan Lanny's going to have those Rutgers games where they're up 64-0, and Dylan's going to get plenty of playing time. There's no doubt in my mind, and they might even set up some packages for him. I think he's too good of a talent because if you have the ability to have 2 starting quarterbacks at the Big Ten level on your roster, you're damn right I'm going to use both of them. Obviously, I'm going to use Dante Moore way more, but that keeps defenses on their toes. There's a lot of good defensive coordinators. There's a lot of good defenses in the Big Ten, and it's going to be really hard to prepare for 2 different options if you stick that way. So I think he should stay.
It also just helps too. I mean, like, look at what happens to Texas Tech when you lose Baron Morton for a game, and you got to go play, and Will Hammond's got to play. So, like, there's just that factor too, where you're playing 16 football games and you're like, that is a lot of wear and tear. All it takes is one hit or one rolled ankle, and you lose your star quarterback, and you better hope your backup is ready to play against. Maybe he goes out against Rutgers. You saw, like, Rutgers, you're fine, but maybe next week is Ohio State, and you need that good backup. Like, it just helps out too,
Drew Murringer, I think that's his last name.
I think
he was the co-offense coordinator, tight ends coach at Oregon, internal hire, as you said. But I think that's how Murringer or Murringer. Yeah. I can't remember how exactly you say it.
Any Murringers in the chat, let us know.
I was trying to look up, and I'm kind of frustrated. I couldn't.
No, it's water. It's just water.
Reese is a fitness guy. He stays hydrated. He lives on life. He doesn't live on caffeine like us.
Chicken and rice. Coming up next.
I will say I tried to find the futures because there was out there yesterday for college football national titles next year, and it was like top 3, if I remember on the top of my head. It was Oregon, Georgia, or sorry, not Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas. It's off the board now on the sports book that I use, and it makes me wonder, like, is that because there's a shift now with Oregon, taking a big leap? I mean, if Oregon was, and I don't know off the top of my head, I'm sure you can look it up. If Oregon was plus 800, 900 yesterday, I mean, Dante Moore's what now, JP? You're kind of a decent guesser on that. Plus 500 to win the national title? Plus 400?
That seems low.
It was around that. I know Texas was plus 750. Ohio State was plus 400. And somebody else in the middle was sandwiched at
I bet Oregon's closer to like 657.
Okay.
That'd be my guess.
Around that Texas range.
I guess I didn't know they had next year's feeds out.
They did yesterday. I'm a sicko, and I was ready to maybe put something on somebody, and we might touch on them soon. You do? I'd love to hear it.
800.
800.
Plus
Is Texas still at
800.
750?
Yes. Ohio
Okay.
State 600, Indiana 700.
Indiana. Okay. Indiana's interesting. That's an interesting one, but we want to kind of stay on topic with the Hoosiers because they got a national title to win in 2025 season at this point. I want to end it by the Dante Moore stuff with this, fellas. Just awesome for college football. This year, I felt like we had a lot of new faces at quarterback that we've gotten accustomed to. And now next year, guys, like this is really good for the sport that we have a lot of familiar faces, especially at the quarterback spot. Every college football, every casual college football fan at least knows the quarterback. And so when the more quarterbacks you're familiar with, the more fun quarterbacks are to watch, the more eyes are going to be on your sport. Let me just give you a list of names. And some of these guys aren't even draft eligible next year, but you got Arch, Sellers, Levitt at LSU now, Devin Dampier, Dante Moore, John Mateer at Oklahoma still, Sorsby's now at Texas Tech, Rocco Becht at Penn State, Byron Brown at Auburn, Drew Mestamaker now at Oklahoma State, CJ Carr's back at Notre Dame, Julian Sayin, Bryce Underwood, Marcel Reed. And that was just a quick
Kevin Jennings.
Like we could go on this list. There's
but that's 30. A good one because he went
Steve Angeli,
right? And he's the one that's going to get talked about. And even his announcement to come back to SMU didn't get that much like pop, just because I feel like SMU wasn't, in all honesty, in any primetime games this year.
Yeah,
maybe a Friday night every once in a while. But that's a quarterback who's really good, and his team is going to spend money and help him. But like you're saying, with the names coming back, it's the new one at Alabama will be interesting. I think that's one that you kind of circle like, I thought we were going to, maybe see Ty Simpson round 2. Obviously, he came out and kind of talked about the money that was thrown at him. And honestly, I get it. That's fair. We know what's happening. You might as well come out.
Dante Moore helps his draft stock at this point. Being first round,
absolutely. JKS. Did you say JKS?
I did. I was gonna say, dude, if we wanted to make a real list, like we could go 40 deep on it. That's what I'm saying.
Angeli.
Well, Is
Angeli back?
Steve Angeli.
We got an Angeli Amari Odom competition up at Syracuse next year.
Did Angeli? Is he staying?
Pretty sure he's coming back. I thought I had saw a report he's coming back.
You might want to fact check that. I believe you, but that's even better.
Odom and an Angeli 1-2 combo.
Yeah.
Steve Angeli.
So I don't want to get off topic with that, but that's just I had to lay that out there. Like
quarterbacks, because
it's going to be. We're going to have an awesome April episode
the next
of like ranking
2 months. We're going to be ranking all of our quarterbacks in each conference.
Every single. We probably could. I know a lot of. Yeah, people will definitely be partaking in that, and I'm sure we will a little bit. So, all right, that kind of wraps up the Dante Moore stuff. I just think it's fascinating. It is actually, to me, it was shocking. I even threw out the Dylan Raiola storyline of it because Nebraska does play Oregon next year. It's in Eugene, sadly. And somebody commented below, is like, well, what if Moore stays? And I didn't respond to it. I was just like, kind of whatever. But I was like, really?
If you were Raiola, you had to have an idea that was a possibility.
It was. And from the USA Today article I read, he was very well aware it was a possibility. I don't know how certain they made it seem. Like he clearly was pretty confident with either way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the coaching staff was comfortable with it either way, which is fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with his decision or their decision to say that like open-ended, right? Like you can come here and he may come back and you're not going to compete for the job. Like this is his job, or he's going to leave and we're going to, put you through. There's no Austin Novosad there to compete with. One of the later in our episode,
they had another quarterback
job probably.
They had another quarterback hit the portal today. I couldn't remember the name, but he's a 5-star young freshman. He was like a really highly touted.
They got a couple of those up there, I think.
So somebody's going to get a decent young quarterback over there too. So all right, let's move into the rest of the portal talk. Reese, I'll start with you. Favorite latest addition or commitment over the last week since we've last talked to our audience from the portal, because there have been some acquisitions that I think are still to be highlighted.
I'm fairly certain this one was in the past week, but Kamori House to Arkansas from North Carolina. From that one, just linebacker, 6'2", 215, big boy, led North Carolina in tackles last year, had 78. He was an All-American freshman at Washington. So it's his third stop in 3 years. There's that aspect to it too. But kind of just looking him up, a lot of scouts saying this guy's got the sideline to sideline speed, money. If you're going to you got to be fast. You're going to be in the SEC. They talk about this guy's got abilities to chase on ball carriers. You're going to be quarterbacks with their legs, good running backs in this league. We just saw what Amadi Hardin and all those guys were doing this year as well. And then they talked about like, this is a guy who, depending on whatever kind of front you run, this guy can, go line down on the line if he needs to, or he can kind of stay back if you want to go 4-2-5 or 3-3-5. But I like Kamori House going to Arkansas to go with the new head coach of Ryan Silverfield. Getting some boys to come help him.
Good pull there. Kind of reminds me when you talk about him, I'm like, you remember Chris Paul Jr. a couple of years ago? I know he ended up at Ole Miss, but he was a linebacker. He was a good pull there at Arkansas. So that's a great pick. JP, I'll let you go next, even though I have a slight feeling that you might take mine.
Well, I wrote it in the doc here just because I forgot my notes downstairs and I feel like running back down there. This is a bigger name, so Reese kind of grabbed one that doesn't get as much of the headlines. But Chaz Coleman from Penn State to Tennessee. You've seen Heupel go from, and I think Pate touched on this. You saw that defense be really, really good 2 years ago, right on the front and in the completely honest, in the front seven, not just in the front four. And then this year they regressed on that completely on the defense and completely regressed on the line of scrimmage. I think that's something Heupel was like, we can go get guys, so let's go do it. And that's not the only guy they've gone and got defensively, but this is one of the better defensive line pieces you're going to find in the portal and in the country. So to go get him, I think kind of reemphasizes a Tennessee team that still needs a quarterback, right? But they are investing defensively. As I saw, our offense is going to be there. If we can just get the defense back on the track, I think this Tennessee team thinks Big Orange got a shot to play in Atlanta.
James Pierce might go down as one of my favorite edge rushers over the last 5 years, and I thought he could have even done a little better.
Tennessee defense, they didn't get the same notoriety and the pop that the Georgias and Alabamas were that same year, but that Tennessee front held everybody in check, and you weren't running the football on them. You got to remember that was the year Nico really struggled.
It's because Nico stunk. That's going.
That offense is built to scheme guys wide open, and he missed them consistently. And they just, as it goes, right? You can't hold on to the ball and you can't sustain drives. Your defense is out there 75% of the game, and that's not a winning recipe for anybody.
Now it makes me think too. This kind of goes into what Tennessee hasn't picked up a quarterback yet, have they? I know they hosted Levitt. They were thinking about Prebula. And he went to Virginia.
They're trying. From my understanding of what I've been reading, it's not just guys that are currently in the portal, right? It's one of those things where you're able to kind of shop around agent to agent.
Dylan Rail.
I don't think. I
had to throw it out there.
No, but it's not a bad point because we were just talking about how maybe it's a little bit of the scheme, right? You wanted to show off kind of what he can actually do. Wouldn't that one kind of fit in a way that you want to show off what you can do, the arm talent?
Hooker did.
It's like one read, get the ball out, and I think Dylan Raiola really needs to learn how to do that because obviously we know he had a tendency to hold on to the ball for
Nebraska fans would have told you he read a defense beautifully. Remember when was that Fornelli got redded wrapped in the Minnesota game?
Read it so well, he just kept taking his time. He just had no urgency. He's like, I'm just gonna read it all first before I actually I just want to read every single coverage. That's it.
I just want to make sure I'm reading it right.
Mine is okay, and then I'm glad I did. That's a good one, JP. Mine's Justice Haynes at Georgia Tech, and I was high on Haynes at Michigan. Kind of didn't. I mean, he battled some injuries last year. Didn't really pan out for him. I think he still could have been a really big focal point this year. I don't know if he made the move, obviously, because of Whittingham going there and he just wanted a new scene. But Justice Haynes going there this year to Georgia Tech in that offense, I think's the perfect fit. I think he's going to be the focal point. I can't even think of right now who the quarterback for Georgia Tech would be at this point. So you gotta imagine it's going to be a running style still, and they're going to keep Haynes the focal point. I know Faulkner left to Florida, but you got to think Justice Haynes still fits exactly what they need.
Did they get somebody in the portal that we're just missing?
Dude, I don't think so. And people in the comments could surely let us know. We've tried to keep tabs on everything, but sometimes
let us know. We're only human, people.
you're put on the spot here, and it's like, I don't know, like 20 quarterbacks at the portal. I'm trying to keep track.
I'm still trying to figure out who's going to see in the market for right now.
So we said that obviously the portal ends. You got to hit the portal on Friday for you to go somewhere else. I saw the top 100, and there's like, especially in the top 50, there's only about 5 guys left that haven't really picked a spot yet. Uncommitted pieces and some of our thoughts. I'll start with this because we haven't even touched on this, and this was kind of big news. Jordan Seaton. He's the number 1 rated non-quarterback in the transfer portal. My personal opinion, he is the number 1. Like, if I were doing rankings, he's the number 1 player in the country in the portal right now. I don't even think it's close. I think Sorsby, Mestemaker, and Levitt, who are the 3 guys ahead of him, are all, yeah, they're great players. But you don't, like, playing quarterback position is so hard. We clearly know that. You don't have to be a genius to know that. And we just don't know how it's going to pan out with some of their new offenses and some of their new destinations. So Mestemaker's going up in a level playing field. Like, he's going up in a level in competition. So we just don't know. Jordan Seaton can go anywhere, and he's the best tackle in all of college football. It doesn't matter. Like, he is going to go out there. I know there's a lot of technique to offensive line, but you know that guy can produce at a high level. He did it at Colorado. And I think that where he goes is fascinating. I know Oregon's been listed. Texas was another one. We'll talk about Texas in a minute, but Jordan Seaton is something to follow there. Is there anybody else that I'm kind of missing?
Like on teams?
Just guys that are still in the portal that you might want to keep a tab on.
I had the Harris kid from Georgia. I'm pretty sure he is uncommitted yet. The Daniel Harris kid. I just thought it was interesting. I mean, 6'3", 195 just didn't play a whole lot, but like originally he's from Miami, and that's like, you know, that Miami secondary is gonna be losing some pieces. So it's just like, hey, come home, we'll pay you some money. So like that's one I kind of keep my eye on just in case he goes down there.
Damon Harris is another piece, or sorry, Damon Wilson. From the Missouri Georgia transfer. He was good at, obviously he was one of the best at Georgia. He wanted to be the number 1 guy. He gets paired up with Zion Young last year. He was still really productive, really good. He screams Alabama to me. I think Alabama needs an edge rusher bad for this. I think that was the difference.
Some interior guys too, I think.
Correct.
Pretty penny. It's pretty penny, sir.
I think Alabama's I don't know anything. I haven't seen any crystal balls, but like he screams Alabama to me. I think he's one of the other top 10 portal guys that haven't committed it elsewhere. So he's one other guy. Jordan, were you going to say something?
I just Mekhi Frazier down as a running back at Michigan State. I thought better than just a rollback. That's a Michigan State team that struggled on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and then brought in some pieces that kind of helped that. And it didn't take the bump, but I think this is a better back than just a rollback. And I understand that in the portal, you can kind of have your pick of the litter at running back in some spots. But if you can put this kid on a team and give him the right carries and blend him into a scheme, I think it's a really good piece. It's tough to bring down and a really good 3-down back, not just one that's going to be more of a specialty guy. That's just one I highlighted just from watching him play some Big Ten football the last couple of years. I was looking to see
like what's Miami do at quarterback? Like that's another thing to follow. Like, are they just gonna stick with a young guy on the roster? Houston, was it Longstreet, the former 5-star at USC? He's now gonna go, to LSU and be developed under Lane Kiffin. That was a guy that a lot of people tagged with Miami, being like, maybe Miami takes a flyer on a young guy. Now, they went from Beck and Ward, and I'm forgetting somebody else. Who else am I forgetting? That Miami had as their
before Ward.
Was there another transfer portal quarterback, or is this maybe the third that they're
Burger and
okay? So maybe it was just Beck and Ward that have been successful, like really high transfers that come in. Now it's like third option. You're going to run it back with another experienced quarterback. I know Ty Simpson was linked there, but it sounds like he's not going anywhere. So now it's like, I know priority number 1 for Miami is like win the Natty, but you also have like Cignetti already replaced his quarterback for next year. Like they're already thinking ahead. It's interesting to see where Miami's lying right now.
Yeah, for sure. And you're going to have to pay at this point. Like if you want to get someone uncommitted or flip somebody or anything, you're probably going to have to pay more than what they currently hold. which is a tough thing to do,
Right.
just based on where you want to spend your money, right? Like maybe you want to spend money elsewhere. I think the Tennessee thing, just to go back, I was kind of looking around as we were talking about it. They have a young quarterback on campus that the fan base kind of wants to just hold on.
Yeah, there was a guy. There's a guy.
develop.
I don't remember his name, but they were like, this guy could maybe compete with Aguilar this year. They're like, if he were to be the guy, he'd take some lumps, but I think we'd like him this year.
He was the Berklinger kid, but he hit the portal, and then they have another kid. Mason Phillips is a kid that's a young piece for them. But yeah, they have pieces on there that I think Tennessee wants to try out rather than shipping out $4 or $5 million for a quarterback, especially not your first choice of a quarterback.
Right. Since I'm leading the show, I wanted to circle back on this because I don't feel like anybody's talking about this. They're just talking about like, where's Jordan Seaton going to go? Guys, I think Colorado's in a little bit of an epidemic right now. And I don't think people are really highlighting it enough how big of a mess I think it is. Because you like
they've brought in some pieces though. Again,
they've brought in some pieces, which is fine. They lose McKinney to Notre Dame. They're obviously losing Seaton. They lost both Millers at receiver, who that was another thing I wanted to touch on. Like they lost 38 guys to the portal. And, you know, when Dion went on campus his first year, he's like, you better get out of here because I'm bringing in my Louis. Well, guys, go and take a look at that transfer class this year when you have a chance. All 38 guys not all, I should say, but most of the 38 guys that have left the Colorado program are all like, quote unquote, upgrading. There's a lot of SEC transfers on that roster. I just mentioned McKinney's going to Notre Dame. Like, nobody's really going down a level. So clearly a lot of other people think that these guys still have talent. And I don't know what the conversation was with Dion. See, he wants to clear this roster. He's like, I want to get in better players. I'm not so sure he really thought clearly on that because I did think they had pieces there that were worth it. The only thing they're holding on to now, in my opinion, is Juju Lewis. And clearly, I don't think Juju's going anywhere this year, but it better work out with Juju in prime this year, or I think it's another reset. Rick George, the AD, stepped down. They bring in a new guy from, I believe, New Mexico as their new athletic director. New young athletic director wanting to make a splash. You go 3-9 again in the Big 12. People are going to be chirping, and he's going to want to make some moves just because he's the young guy trying to put respect on his name.
And you wonder if it's really, you know, the longevity of being funded the way he wants to be funded out there, right? Like, that's a fan base that's passionate, obviously, but it's a reinvigorated fan base. But it doesn't necessarily mean that people are willing to give you money year in, year out to get guys, and you have to pay them, right? And then you got to retain those as well. So there's a lot more that goes into it, and it's a tough thing to crack, especially when everybody feels like they're on the same playing field, and there's so much parity within that conference.
Let's move on to coaches and their portal strategy. What coaches have been pretty particular about what they wanted to hit in the portal? Reese, I'll let you start first.
I mean, an obvious one, Shafe, would be your guy just taking all of his players. The Penn State, Iowa State, Nittany Cyclones, just like, hey, boys, remember when I recruited you? Let's go to where I'm going now. So, like, you recruit who you recruit because obviously you know of a player type, you know how they're going to fit into your scheme, like how you want to run as a coach. Yeah. It's also not just like, is he a good athlete? It's like, you know, is he a player that I can trust to like hold other players accountable? So like Matt Campbell recruits a certain type of player, which is why he's been a successful coach, which is why he wants to take all of his guys with him, which again, there's nothing wrong with that. But like, it's just, hey, you guys were playing for me. Do you want to continue to come play for me? Or do you want to go play for Jimmy Rogers? Or do you want to come to Penn State with me? So,
well, the thing with that, and I clearly have some thoughts on it, is I think Campbell wanted 10 to 15 guys, like for certain. He's like, I want you guys in my building. I think you're going to play right away. I think that you have an instant impact playing for us. And everybody knows Campbell's not a big portal guy. Like, he's not used to this kind of stuff. He's not used to having money. He's not used to having a completely different roster change. And as the week has kind of gone on, he's kind of added a couple of other pieces from Iowa State. And we're like, I'll just say it out loud. I added Ike Ezeagu today, a defensive end that he brought in. I'm like, really, Ike? Like, what's it been taking so long the last 2 weeks? Were you trying to look at all your options? And now it's like, do you kind of just want to be a fill-in guy for me at this point? A guy who I trust, a guy who I know. There is a decent little contingent of Penn State fans that are pretty pissed about the amount of Iowa State players that are on the roster, because they clearly think Iowa State's roster is not to Penn State's level. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I see it as like, you got a super easy schedule this year. You brought in the actual players who are going to make an impact. Fill out the rest of the roster with guys who can like start pumping the Matt Campbell culture within the locker room, right? And then you go from there. They'll recruit high school better than they did at Iowa State. They'll add guys through the portal, but it will never be anything like this year. And I think it's just a product of what he's had to deal with. But it's been kind of funny to watch a little bit for me. But I'm sure it's going to play out. Like, they don't play anybody next year, so it doesn't really
no biases at all.
No biases. I feel like that's a pretty fair statement about the situation for Penn State.
You got to take some culture guys with you.
Yeah,
you got to take some guys that are going to fit, and you know what to expect out of them.
That is a good point, though, of like, you need guys to help set your culture for the locker room, because it is a new coaching regime. So, hey, incoming guys, this is how we did it over here. This is how Coach wants it. So
this is
how we go.
Well, I tell you who's got a portal strategy, and he's not, really scared to use it.
Yeah, who?
It's Sarkisian.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go get the money. I'm gonna go get the big ones, and I'm gonna go big, big game hunting consistently.
Cam Coleman,
and I'm gonna lay these guys. Like, he knows what he wants, and he's has the ability and the resources to go and get it.
I said, this is what I have in my notes. I said Arch Manning is Thanos, and he is one Jordan Seaton away from collecting all of the Infinity Stones this year. If they pick up Jordan Seaton, I think it is wraps. I think it's absolute wraps. I think they're I know
we said the same thing about
we
said the same thing about this team this year. And I mean, then look at what happens with Arch. Like, granted, yes, he has a year to develop, but it's also, how did he do in the big games this year?
I'm huge on Arch.
We gotta see.
I'll let my Arch opinions savor for the entire offseason, but this is a guy who's probably getting Arch Manning Heisman tickets if I really want it. Hollywood Smothers, Raleek Brown, just what a gross backfield. Like, those two dudes are studs.
And they had a good backfield. I wonder if
I
wonder what happened there.
I heard they said that they told the agents of Wisner and Baxter to be like, hey, tell your boys to go somewhere else. We've got guys. That's
CJ Baxter was so good.
And he's going to Kentucky.
I know, but that was one I thought he'd be a great back for the next 2-3 years. Obviously, an injury within there doesn't help the situation. But I mean, I get it. Maybe it's a fresh start. Isn't that the whole situation with what's his face, Livingstone? They kind of told him the same thing, and they're like, "Oh, the trader's like, I'm pretty sure got told to get lost." Like,
no, Sark told dudes to get lost. Like, that is definitely what happened. So, and then defensively, they added what's his nuts from Pitt at linebacker, who's going to be awesome for them too. I think he's a great pickup. So I think Texas is going to be loaded. But you're right, Reese. We've done this thing before.
We'll Sarkisian's the guy that there's two people that go to Vegas, right? The ones that walk through Caesars just to look at like the Balenciaga and the Louis store and just be like, wow, I've never actually seen one of those stores in person. And the one that can walk in there and shop it, that's Sarkisian. That's the guy. You're walking up and down and you're like, my friend's in there. That kind of thing. Like, you can go in there yourself. You can look. It looks cool. It looks nice. But it's incredible. Nothing you're going to put on or try on. So that's Sarkisian. He's going to go into those stores, and you're going to wait an extra 10 minutes while you walk through Caesars so you can see all the stores.
I don't know my clothing lines enough to make a good enough analogy, but it's like if he had like a Nike, he's got a nice Nike tech suit, and he just gives it to his buddy because he just went to the Louis store and he bought something way better. He's like, yeah, you can have this. It's nice. I don't need it anymore. It's fine. I don't need it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, the steering wheel doesn't quite like turn as smooth as I want. So I just got a new one. Yeah.
So the one for me, I had Alabama is like completely resetting the trenches. It was not good enough for DeBoer, and he clearly made that very real thing. 11 different offensive and defensive linemen have hit the portal. They're starting to get a couple of pieces. I think they need to add a little more. I don't really know what's left. I highlighted Wilson, but seems like they need to go and get a few more. There's a couple of options still out there, but he's definitely he's done with whatever was a part of last year on the offense and defensive lines.
I think he knows that they can't look like they're getting out physical along the lines of scrimmage another year, and really sell that they're making progress or kind of making moves towards improving themselves. I think he knows that, and the fan base knows that they want to be better along the lines of scrimmage. And so that's probably what it is. I'm kind of pulling up, 247 stuff as you're talking about it.
Yeah.
Ty Haywood from Michigan. They got a Michigan or a Mississippi State piece along the defensive interior, or Washington piece. Yeah, it's a lot of interior.
It's a couple of 3-star guys, like I think have SEC experience, and they just want new faces. I'm not sure.
The transfer portal 3-star thing, I don't think you should pay attention to the stars near as much when someone hits the portal, right? Because a lot more of it's schematics and how they fit, as well as like 3 stars can be incredibly good role players for you, or really good, especially on the defensive line, like guys that can play 3-4 downs every drive.
Go look at some of Indiana's 3-stars the last couple of years, their portal classes. Like, coaching matters. Newsflash, if you didn't know. Let's wrap it up with the one last topic. And JP, I'll let you go first on this one as you put this in the doc. Is this new portal cycle of the January window, it's obviously very chaotic. Is this the new normal? Do we like it? What are our initial thoughts as we've gone through this first test run this year?
I fear it is the new normal, especially at some position groups. I'd say quarterback, tackle, defensive tackle would be those spots the same way the NFL works, right? Those are going to be your 3 highest paid positions in a lot of spots. That's probably not going to change. With it being a shrunk window in 2 weeks, you have to make a decision quicker. You got to go on your visits. And so it's very fast paced, right?
Yeah.
And spots also fill up fast. So there's a lot of guys that either want to move up or looking for opportunities, or guys that just need new homes and reset. I think it is going to be a little crazy. And maybe there's something to be said in a couple of years where this will slow down and people will get better at retaining pieces. But in order for that to happen, everybody needs to be working to retain pieces, because if someone's not, it just domino affects everything. Right? Like if Sark does another run through of a roster, he's like, okay, you're not coming back because you come back, I'm not keeping your scholarship for you. And then that trickles down, and now they got to fill roster spots, and they're not just waiting for someone to get in the portal to talk to them anyhow. Because Ty Simpson was never in the portal. He had 6-7 guys, $5 million plus offering him money. And so I fear that it is going to be the new normal. I don't know if you guys feel similar about it. I think this is different because last year it was different, right? We had 2 windows. Neither window was really nuts. A lot of guys retained themselves, and there was a lot of quarterbacks as well that were new coming into their role. Transfers, more homegrown talent in quarterback a lot of places, which I think makes a difference.
Reese, what are your thoughts on it? I'll save mine until you go.
I'm a fan of where it's going. I think it's a lot. I mean, look at what the hell we were 2 years ago, when you had Malik Murphy like leaving Texas to go to Duke right away. And then it's just we had the issue with, Purbuell last year when he left. It sucks when you're losing guys. Like we mentioned before with the Raiola, say Dante gets hurt and you lose your quarterback. If you don't have a competent backup in a playoff run, like that hurts. But we're steps in the right direction, obviously, keeping guys around more. And it's also like at the end of the day, like they're human beings, man. Like sometimes you need a new start, sometimes you need somewhere new to go. But at the same time, like you also need to develop as a player, like under your coaches, and just have a sense of commitment about it too. So like this just adds to, hey, I told the coach I was going to play for him. It's time for me to play for him, or it's time for me to like make that decision a little bit earlier and kind of go figure it out from there. Because unless your name is TJ Finley and you're on 7 schools in 7 years, like
FCS TJ Finley now.
It doesn't work like that for everybody, boys. So it's like you just got to figure out a way to make it work for you wherever you're at. It's like sometimes you ain't going to start, you're going to back up, but you can have a chance to develop and just be a better player as well too. But I like the direction that we're in.
Reese, teaching life lessons, learning to be patient. That doesn't make sense. Stop being so common sense about it.
Give me money.
It is a lot. like 4,000 guys hitting the portal in a 2-week span is absolutely insane, but I love it. I love this new window. I think it's here to stay. It's for a few different reasons. For us, we mentioned it when we covered our bowl games. I think it made a huge impact in who played in the bowl games, in the retainment in bowl games, which made that a lot more fun. We love bowl games around here. We want to see guys play. It was awesome. This year, like as an Iowa State fan, I mentioned this to Justin on our show. Yes, we have 45 new players from the portal on our team. But guess what? At least their ass is going to be in Ames for a full 365 days. Jimmy Rogers isn't going to have to go through spring ball wondering, is this guy going to stay? Does he like it here? This and that. No, they've got their roster. They know what they want to do with it. They're going to go through spring ball. They're going to know their depth chart. And when summer camp hits around, when fall camp hits around, that gives me, as an Iowa State fan personally, gives me a lot more confidence that we can somewhat succeed in 2026 because they're going to at least know a decent idea of what they got once August camp hits around. I mean, you guys remember those stories just being like, yeah, I don't know if we're going to have our second string quarterback after the April window. Like if he's not happy, if he lost the job in spring, he's probably gone. Like it gives us so much of a better idea of what these rosters are going to look like as college football podcast hosts too, just covering these teams. We can start diving into them early, like who's going to be on these rosters. Hopefully Iowa State gets a spring game and we can see what that looks like. And they're going to be around. And then another little thing for us selfishly, hopefully this gets preview magazines out earlier than usual. Preview magazine.
Right. That's a hard job. I respect the hell out of the guys that do that. And not selfless plug. Like, hey, 6'6", man. That's a great one. And he always Brett's always talking about the extent that portal, you're saying, backed up his window to print or put out his PDF version. And so for that, we respect what he does. And obviously Phil Steele's got another great one, but it's tough. And it's also going to be easier for people to understand and really look at what they have and get excited for a year, right? We're not sitting in a window where fans are trying to learn the roster mid-August, late August before week 0 rolls around and you're playing in Ireland. That's an Iowa State example, but
sure.
I think was this North Carolina TCU this year in Ireland week 0?
Yep.
You're going to have to learn some new names. You know about them in
plenty of time earlier.
In May, in June. So
you do got to think these magazines, why wouldn't they come out in May? Mid-May after
a lot of people, man.
After people have their spring games. They do, but it's they're not going anywhere now. So start to call these teams and figure out what they got going on as soon as spring ball starts.
To make one, we'll have Jake put together a preview mag for us.
A preview mag?
Jimmy, tell me what we got.
I think I got my
like I said, I know version, but selfishly, it's going to be a lot easier to talk about Iowa State throughout this entire spring, just with this one window. So I like it. I've always vouched for it. It comes at a weird time still because football is still getting played, but I think the national championship game should get moved up. That's a different conversation for another day. But I think right now, from January 2nd to January 16th, Iowa State doesn't get to start classes until Monday. So 2 weeks.
That's wild. That's really late.
It is late. And there's other schools that do that. So pick a spot, get them on campus. They're there. And let's get this thing rolling. Let's not have any second guesses. So I love it. Any other thoughts on transfer portal stuff? Or let's talk some national championship.
Let's talk some ball.
Before we do that, let's take a pause. Bad podcasting on my end. We got to give a shout out to our awesome partners at No Rivals. ShopNoRivals.com, the best hats in all of collegiate sports. Go and check those guys out. They're releasing new collections. It seems almost every other week. They're adding teams year by year. I'm excited to see what their team edition growth is going to be this year. I mean, they added so many teams over the course of last year. I'm sure 2026 for those guys is going to be a massive year for them as it is for us.
Got a message today. Somebody wanted to know where Reese got his Kentucky hat, and I said, shop.rivals.com. Use code PTFS at checkout.
That is one of my favorite hats. It's a great hat. Like Jordan said, PTFS at checkout gives you free shipping on all the best hats in collegiate sports. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let us know your thoughts below on anything. Like I said, this is an interactive college football show, and we encourage everyone to give their opinions for good or for bad. If we don't know ball, let us know. We like to hear it. We like the haters. We invite them. And yes, as always, we've been waiting for him. We've missed him in the last couple of weeks. He's probably been busy on portal stuff over at Jack State. But the Friday KC says we need to add Jack State. I'm not much of a design guy, but I think something just like a Jack's would be awesome. I don't know. I think I think they would crush it over there. So shopnorivals.com. All right. Enough of that. National championship, the final game of the 2025-2026 season is sadly upon us. I don't know how you guys feel, but before we dive into everything, the national championship these last couple of years, since it's gone so late into January, it's like bittersweet because it feels like centuries ago we talked about that Ireland game between Iowa State and Kansas State. There's been a lot of other games. Like there's a lot of space in between these games, but it's like, hey, we got one more college football game on deck. We might as well enjoy it. And I think this year we have an awesome game on deck. Jordan, I'll let you start. We kind of been doing this with our game previews since during the playoff, and I've enjoyed these. Not so much giving you guys X's and O's breakdowns, analyzing that kind of stuff. Storylines, you guys know the deal. Like, what's the storylines, the headlines to follow in this one in Miami on Friday or Monday night?
It's the Carson Beck story arc, right? It's the story of a kid who was promised a lot of Georgia, was kind of thought to be another piece of that, a nice heir to what you'd done with Stetson Bennett. And he was really good. I think there was, to say that he was an elite quarterback his years at Georgia will be a stretch, but he was really good. I think he did enough for him. He had some mistakes, kind of got on the wrong side of the fan base, needed a fresh start, ends up in Miami. Has a really good start to the year, middle of the road. That's when they started losing, right? They go to SMU and lose. They lose at home to Louisville. Turnovers got him. And then he's been great in these playoffs, right? You needed a Carson Beck moment. He stamped in that Ole Miss semifinal win with a couple of touchdowns and a big drive late to win it for him. And if he can go win this one and beat a team in Indiana who looks, kind of unstoppable force dish, that is pretty cool story. Whether you like the guy or not, you like his personality, you're cheering for him or whatever. I think that's a really cool piece of all of this. I think that's something to pay attention to, right? Because if you look at, nobody wants a kid to fail, right? Nobody wants a guy to fail, especially when it's an injury like that. Like the moment that happened, it was bad. Everybody knew it was bad. And to know that maybe he's still not 100% where that arm was at one point in time, and he still figured it out and found a way to win football games, I think tells you a hell of a lot about the kid.
I don't know what his NFL career is going to look like. I think that arm injury set him back a ways as far as like his downfield throwing ability.
Back. It's hard, man. It's hard.
So for him to get this one would be cool. Reese, you brought this up earlier about the potential of the first 16-0 team in college football history. I don't know how to phrase this. There's been a lot of talks the last week about where would this team in Indiana, if they win on Monday, where's this team stack up amongst the greats? Every national championship team, it seems like we want to compare them to the last 5 years, especially that 2019 LSU team. Where would this team stack up against 2020 Alabama, 2019 LSU, or even 24 Ohio State was really good?
What about, what was that, 16? Is that 16 or 17 Clemson team? That was really good.
Yeah,
18.
With Renfro?
No, the 18 year where they just blitzed everybody.
Yeah, but I think the Michigan team a couple of years ago doesn't get enough love either. Like they pretty much, I know they got a goal line stop against Alabama, so it wasn't as dominant, but they kind of controlled everybody.
They just want a flashy offense with JJ. They were just kind of like a ground and pound in your face. Like that's why everybody thinks about Joe Burrow. I mean, 16-0 is remarkable, but I mean, I don't know if it's just the Joe Burrow factor, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, like knowing what these guys are. Like, I mean, Thaddeus Moss also at tight end was a hell of a pickup for those guys too. So I still think that LSU team would be pretty damn tough to beat. But I mean, look at all the stats from this Indiana team. If you would have, 5 years ago, hey, Indiana in 5 years from now, they're going to play Oregon, Ohio State, and Alabama all in the same season, and they're going to outscore them 137-55. you'd be like, "What the? Is Nick Saban coaching?
cheating.
Did Kirby Smart go to Indiana? They're cheaters." You'd be like, "What are we like? What are we talking about?" They're plus 31 or plus 31 victory margin. They have a plus 470 point total differential. Plus 21 turnover margin. Like everything about that, you like look at the stats that are on the screen right there. Like scoring 40 a game, giving up 11 a game. Like that is happening in Bloomington, Indiana. The first 16-0 team at the second losingest football program in college football history. Like, it's just insane to think about that this team has the potential to do all this.
This team in Indiana, if they win on Monday, they might look like the best team in the new 12-team playoff era for the next 5 years. That might be real. But I'm kind of over this whole thing. We do this. It feels like we do this every year with the new national champion. And I just don't think they're touching that LSU team. And I don't think they're touching a couple of others. Like there's guys I trust who do this stuff on like real like spreads. Like Brad Powers is one, for example. I'll just throw it out there. I think he's really good. He's like, guys, that LSU team would still be favored by double digits against this Indiana team. Now, take it for what it is. I will also say, while this might not be the most talented team in the last 5 or 10 years, it might be the best coached team in the last 5 or 10 years, just by the talent acquisition and what they've turned that into has been remarkable. Like it might be something we never see in this sport ever again, to be honest. I hope not, because I think that's what this new 12-team NIL era gives, is a lot of new teams hope. And I think it'd be great for the sport, but a lot of people might compare themselves to Indiana and think they can turn this around and then realize they can't. And that just shows how awesome of a turnaround, how good of a coaching job Cignetti and his staff have been throughout all of this.
If you're giving me double digits with that LSU and Indiana team, I'm taking Indiana.
Like 10 and a half.
Score
how much
going to score? You're going to score on that LSU team.
I think their defense was. It was like Trevor Lawrence had a couple of drives in that title game away, but then everything got shut down in the second half.
It was a man defense.
It was a man defense.
It was man for 15-0.
That might be a hot take. That is a hot take. I might have to go back and look at the
stats. We have to go back and look. We have to go back and look at the stats. But I mean, just it's also like hindsight of all of us knowing what Joe Burrow and Jamar and Justin Jefferson, all those guys are like. That makes you lean that one way, and it's like look at like Ogeron literally was gone. Was it 2 years after that? Like that team was literally everything that he had built up for that. So there's kind of that factor. But I'm still taking LSU. Everything I have on my money. I don't know. If you're double digits, I mean, it's interesting, but I'm money lining LSU with everything I have.
Is this a win-win scenario for college football fans? Whoever wins Monday night, I know there's still a decent like old.
Because a lot of people don't want it or Miami to win.
Miami, yeah. There's still like that like middle-aged guy between 30 to 45 or 50 that's like maybe even 60, dating back to their dominance in the 80s. It's like, I still hate Miami. I still think they're cocky in everything they do. Like they have that picture of Miami still in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, for me, I would still classify us guys as the younger generation of college football fans. I mean, we grew up in the mid 2000s of college football, where we really have not seen Miami dominate a decade of college football. Like to see them back on the map, I think it's good for the sport. I wouldn't be upset if I see Miami get it done and Carson Beck wins a national championship on Monday. That's my personal opinion.
We talk about like this 16-0 Indiana, but I think like this, if Miami goes and wins this thing, like this murderer's row of the teams they beat to win this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if in the future, granted, we just had the 1-12 team last year, but it's like in the future, are we going to see a run of like Texas A&M, Ohio State, Ole Miss, and then Indiana, who we are talking about as a team that would play against LSU as one of the great, like this team could go 16-0. And like if Miami beats these teams all in a row to win this country, like this might be the most impressive run we've ever seen.
It would be, it's up there.
That's nuts.
Because you add in that they played on the road too, right?
Yeah.
Like that wasn't a normal thing back
and
then.
Indiana and Ohio State were like my clear two teams that are above everybody else in college football.
They were the odds-on favorites to win a national title. They were 1 and 2, and it wasn't like it was like plus 350, plus 400, and then you had Georgia at like 550, 600. Like it wasn't like everybody was right in line. There's 2, and then they went and beat, kind of handily, you could say, Ohio State wise. Like they weren't dominant on both sides of the ball, but like they really were kind of in control most of that game. So, for me here, there's obviously the storyline of, can you block Miami? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Not many people can in the country. And then the other side is like, can you slow down this offense from Indiana and get them off schedule? Obviously, one thing that's always floating around is like, if you hold Indiana under 3.5 yards a carry, you stay in it. That's what Miami does best. But like, I want to know what the perception would be, right? If you go out there and you get to Fernando 3 or 4 times, we got 4 or 5 sacks or something, and a bunch of hurries, and you're not running the football well, and Carson Beck's not moving the ball really either, and it's really low scoring, you're really having to grind it out. Is the perception of this, and then Miami, let's just say Miami goes on to win that thing like 20-17, some low scoring and gross. Is the perception then that Miami team just kind of wasn't very good and kind of lucked into a couple things, a bounce a ball situation? Like, is that the perception? Because they did look pretty doing it. Like Reese talked about the Michigan team not getting maybe the love that it deserved because it was slower, right? A little more pro style and just ground pounding, went that direction. That's what Miami wants to do. It's what this Miami team was built upon. Would they be looked at like, yeah, but kind of thing all the time?
I don't think so. I highlighted it a couple of weeks ago. I think this year's been the year of the defense. And I think whichever team's going to win on Monday has their defense is completely dominated the entire way. Now, Indiana went out and scored a bunch of points against Oregon. I get that, but you started the game with a pick 6. You forced a couple of bad turnovers against Oregon. You forced them to 3 and outs. On the flip side, Miami's defense has carried them pretty much this entire way. I was impressed. I challenged them to score some points and keep up with Ole Miss, and they did. So that was really encouraging. But to this point, the entire 12-team field this year was like the year of the defense. And that's what I'm going to remember this year as, is like, no, like whatever team wins on Monday, I think they're going to hold the opponent to, like you said, JP, 17 points. And it's not going to be a luck thing. It's like, no, these defensive lines are really stinking good. And it carried them. And that's how they won football games this year. I think that's how a lot of football teams won football games this year.
Yeah. And you hope, if you're Indiana, that you can have the same pressure against the really good Miami offensive line that you did against a really good Oregon offensive line. Now, there is a piece of it like Oregon was dealing with just, oh, hey, our top 2 running backs just aren't playing today. Oh, hey, we're not going to have this piece. Hey, we're not going to have this piece, right? That plays into it. But they forced a lot of mistakes. They were kind of one of the things where you can get Carson Beck in the same spot. This is, outside of Ole Miss, like, you're Miami, you've seen Texas A&M. That was the Joe Moore Award finalist. You saw Ohio State, considered one of the best fronts on both sides of the football in the country. Then you got Ole Miss, who not bad on offensive line, above average, but not anything great.
They found a way to score on anybody this year.
Yeah. And then you got to do this, right? Like, you've seen some of the best lines of scrimmage in the country in 4, your 4 playoff games. That's tough, man. That's a hot thing to like look at and be like, hey, man, tip your cap to that. That's tough. But Indiana could say the same thing.
I'm fascinated to see now. Credit to Miami for them to respond with scores and play with tempo in the 4th quarter against Ole Miss was really impressive. I don't think they need to do that on Monday. I think both of these teams are going. No, I don't think so either. And it's not like tempo wise, Indiana, I don't feel like is super up tempo, but they're really good at what they do and they stay on the field for a while. So on the flip side, this Miami offense, to me, fascinated to see if Fletcher in the run game can get going. We'll see if like Beck can be efficient with some of his short throws right away. I anticipate it being, and we'll get into picks and maybe bets in a second, so you might know where I'm going with this. I anticipate the first half to be super slow honestly on both sides. I think it's going to be a huge feel out process and that they're not going to want to make a mistake because both of these defenses are really good to you catch yourself sleeping for a second and they can jump on you right away and make a mistake, force you to make a mistake.
We've highlighted the coaching piece of Indiana, right? Maybe it's just coaching's just been that good. What have we not seen from Mario Cristobal this season, really, or in this playoff run? The blunders that were talked about in previous years, right?
Yeah,
the weird timeouts, the not managing the clock correctly, other pieces. You can't do it here. Not against this team and this coaching staff that knows how to take advantage of those things. So I think that's something I like too. Not saying it's going to happen, not saying it's just like the only thing he does, because obviously he's got it figured out for this year. But you can't put yourself in a spot here where you get gifted extra possession or gift an extra 30 seconds on a drive because of mishandling the clock or other.
Reese, I'll throw it to you first. Let's get into picks and or give the listeners a bet if you got anything that you're leaning in this game.
I would just hate to, as much as I would like to see Miami win this football game, because I do think defensively they have a shot to kind of disrupt Fernando Mendoza and everything they have. I just think if you wake up Tuesday morning and you didn't watch this game, and if it was Indiana 35-13, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Or whatever, just because this Indiana team's been unstoppable. So, like, the number being up as high as it is, the hook kind of scares me. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if this Hoosier team wins by 2 scores or 3 scores or whatever it could be. So I'm just the 16-0 remarkable Bloomington's Curt Cignetti. I'm going to ride the Hoosiers.
Yeah, no way I'm backing away from Indiana this far. I think I took Alabama, or at least the points, in the Rose Bowl, and might be one of the dumber bets I've made all year. And I said I'm not betting against them the rest of the year. I know there's only 2 games left. Still stays the same here. I would lay the points. I'd lay the hook. Best bet I actually do have, will place under, and I'm actually buying it down at like plus 105, under 22.5 points first half. To me, I see 2 field goals and I don't know, 2 touchdowns, maybe
23.5.
It is 23.
You're going to buy points.
But I just figured,
look
like,
at this guy. 23 is a key number. You know that, right?
Sharp.
23 is okay. So lay it out for me. What would be 23 be? Like, how would this fight be?
13-10. 17-6.
Yeah, you 2 field goals. Yeah.
0.3.
It is a key number. I don't know. I still see in my head. I was like,
hey, I'm not saying you're wrong. I just wanted you to know.
That's a great. No, I'm glad you laid it out for me. I still think like 2 field goals, 2 touchdowns. That's all. And I see like, oh, so what is that?
No,
2 field.
No special teams.
Field goals, 2 touchdowns would be 20 points.
Well, that's 4 possessions. I'm like, the max amount of possessions in the first half of this game, I see at 6. Honestly, 6.
Holy smoke!
6 or
that's a lot of possessions.
Exactly. I think the defenses are going to bow up in the red zone at least a couple of times to keep them out. I think both sides. So I like under 20. For listeners, sure, play the 23.5, but I like 22.5 as well.
Yeah,
play it.
Nice.
It's not as pretty as I would liked it to be, and it doesn't really bump the way I wanted it to. But I wanted to outline Indiana. But it doesn't really go up very much, right? Up to 13
because they know.
Yeah, and it's like plus 135. So it's not really like you're getting anything out of it.
13.5 is only plus 135.
Yeah. It doesn't
what?
That's what I'm saying, is like it doesn't really buy into like the idea, right, of outlining them.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I would be shocked if Miami was, because if they're gonna win, it's a very specific brand of football they're gonna play, right? And for me, it feels more likely that Indiana's going to maybe struggle offensively, but hit a couple big ones and just have the timely plays offensively like they have in their tough games this year. Whereas if Miami struggles, I'm worrying that if it's not Tony and it ain't the run game, like where is it? Where's the big play come from that they need to pop? Because that's where it happens. And so it's possible that this game is 13-6. Mid-third quarter, Indiana hits one, and now it's 20-6. And Indiana or Miami had a couple drives, but they're not scoring touchdowns and they're kicking field goals. That's where I see it. I'm not saying this is going to be 42-14 and just pounding. I'm not. That's not how I see it. I think the proof is in the pudding that nobody really blocks this Miami front. So I'm going to believe that they're going to get theirs. And then if you get Mendoza 4 times and you have him under pressure, you saw it at Penn State, you saw it at Iowa, you saw it at Oregon in the first time around. If you get pressure on them and you slow their run game down, there's your ticket to success. And this is a team who's done it better than anybody in the country.
I think to sum up what you said, JP, if I'm reading you correctly, it's more like ways to win. Miami's got basically one way to win. I think Indiana's got about 4 or 5 different ways they can win this football game.
Yeah.
That's
and who do you
where I'm leaning.
Who do you expect to make more mistakes? You know, like
the team hasn't
we've
made
seen
mistakes all year.
Indiana, right? We saw the late interception at Iowa that didn't end up biting them. We saw the interception at Oregon, right? That ended in a pick six and got Oregon back in that. You saw just kind of situations like that. But you've seen time and time again a fumble for Miami that kept a team back. You've seen a poorly thrown ball by Beck that kept a Louisville team really in control of that game. And SMU win it. Yeah. Like you've seen that more often. And so to say that like, hey, like, who do you really think is going to, you know, be more vulnerable to mistakes? Like, you'd have to lean Miami.
I think that's well said. So 3-0 sweep on the Hoosiers to cover the weird 7.5 number in Miami. A little bit of a home game
in some spots.
Ooh, yeah, I'm sure it's going to get. I don't see it coming down personally.
I don't see I will say this: if you like Indiana or Miami, I truly think with being a standalone game on a Monday night, the week after the NFL second round, not the public money really moves things. So sharps watch that shit and they just kind of sit there and play the number. But maybe you kind of 9.5. Like maybe you get another point here because I feel like the public and the average guy that doesn't watch a ton of ball, doesn't really digest things. They go, did you see like the scoreboard watchers? They bet based on scoreboards. If you like it, Miami, you're probably going to get a better number. That's my whole thing.
No, I think that's well said. Yeah, the people that don't watch ball will back Indiana as we have a 3-0 sweep
ball knowers
on Indiana. Covering the number.
Can we get this game to a Saturday night too? I don't like this on a Monday. Can we get this game to college football?
I have this.
Put it on a Saturday.
Reese, we got this saved. What we're gonna do? I'm gonna pitch my own calendar. I think we'll probably do it next week. I would like to pitch my own calendar next week. We can do a whole thing about that.
Why don't you put an NFL game before it and then lead it into it?
That would require people being less greedy, Reese, and you're using logical thoughts and irrational.
Well, using logic, Reese. Reese keeps using logic tonight, and it's not getting us anywhere. Before we get out of here, we got a lot of people on Twitter, on YouTube here. Subscribe to the channel. We cover college football content all year long. Let us know your guys' thoughts on the national championship game, who you got winning, everything like that. As David comes in the comments and says, what's he say? If you bet $100 on the Canes to win outright, what is the payout?
I got you. I'll look at that right now, David.
Is it
enough for like a week's vacation to Cancun?
It's like 3 or 4 to 1, probably, if I had to guess. So subscribe to the channel, like the video.
So the number's not that high.
Okay, so 2.7 to 1. I have one more question for you guys.
270. Yeah.
I have one more question before we get out of here. I need to ask.
Hit me.
Before, regardless of the outcome Monday night, I think at least myself, and I think a lot of us talked about 2025, the college football season was going to set up to be an all-timer. Did it live up to the hype? In your eyes, did this season live up to the hype? I don't even say like one of the best college football seasons of all time, but was it everything you could have asked for as a fan? And also let us know in the comments if you're watching us live here on YouTube. Reese, can I ask you first?
You first? I was going to say, I think going into it, I think if you look into it, there's the teams that had the letdowns, like going into it. I mean, this podcast already had, can anybody stop Clemson except for themselves? And Clemson stopped them. So it's like, look at what happened to Penn State. Look what happened to Clemson. Like there's teams that had all that stuff up there and then they came, just kind of came crumbling down. So like, if you're one of those fans, you're like, this year sucked. But if you're just a fan of the sport, like, yeah, you're just seeing things going in the right direction. There's coaches going new places, guys doing new things, and like we're just seeing more money come into the sport, which is it's good, and for the most part, as long as we're putting kids first and everything. But I think overall, the ACC thing was kind of a debacle, but we're seeing Big Ten kind of become a little more relevant. I think over the SEC too, which again 5 years ago you would have said, "What the hell are you talking about with this?" But it's also you're getting the big like Texas Tech getting back into it, the Big 12 become a little more relevant too. So I think not one of the best of all time, but I think you're seeing things that are getting figured out for this 12-teamer and this NIL portal that we're in.
To respond to David's comment, basically 3 to 1, 270 is what you said there.
270,
270s on the Miami money line. JP, 2025 live up to the hype?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part. I feel like there were some real blemishes on it that really took storylines away from what we actually wanted to cover. I think that kind of stinks, and hurts the larger picture and the image of the sport. But
like the Lane Kiffin stuff, are you referring to, or like what do you?
Yeah, that'd be one, right? You had the stuff in Michigan that kind of really stunk. There's just I think there was things that people didn't like, and then now you're kind of getting to the point where you're seeing people legitimately talk about what players are, how they're handling the portal and how they're handling agents and stuff, and that's a tough part. But if you look at the Big Ten schedule, I think you would be able to point out a lot of games that were really good and worth your time. I think if you look down at the SEC, top to bottom, it was a lot of fun to watch. Like people forget about Texas going into Starkville and really getting in one. That was a ton of fun. The ACC obviously just being what the ACC and then the Big 12 as well, being what the Big 12 is. The thing I will always want to draw back to is like how cool some of those smaller conference races were. Like how cool the Mountain West got late. How much fun Conference USA was being on Tuesday, Wednesday nights, and how they really leaned into that, and that really, helped that brand out and helped a lot of those coaches get next step jobs. But it's also fan bases that care, and I think that's something growing here too, especially with some of those FCS programs coming up. Right, they want to win football games, and that's pretty apparent in a lot of spots. So I think it would be a success for the most part. With obviously some pieces, then the negatives usually get more light than the positives in a lot of places in life. But here's where I would say football wins for the most part here.
Yeah. I thought the overall season was a win in itself. I know a lot of people, including myself, were like, could this be like the 2007 all over again? And it really wasn't. But I look at some of the big scheme stuff. You got 2 G5 teams in the playoff. Whether you love it or you hate it, that's parity. That's craziness. That was good for the sport, and it was a storyline to follow leading up to the playoff. Out the SEC was a good race. Texas A&M had it in their hands the entire time until they lost in Austin on that Saturday night. The Big 12, nobody expected BYU to make another run. Texas Tech was dominant. Maybe that's a storyline to follow into the following seasons to come. Big 10, nobody expected Indiana to do what they're doing. They knocked off Ohio State. I thought that was awesome. The ACC was whether you like it or you hate it, the ACC was a dumpster fire, and Duke won the conference title. Like that was fun.
Yeah,
that was weird.
Question 10 years from now.
It will be. So there was a lot of
you know what I will say. What's really back for this year that I feel like took a real big step? Atmospheres. Like the Penn State atmosphere against Oregon, Autzen bringing in Indiana. You could point just a ton of different places. I feel like
Texas A&M.
Yeah, there were a billion opportunities, and they all showed out and were able to be those atmosphere that make college football special, right? I think more so than the last couple of years. Like that was no, cool to see.
I 100% agree. I think people want to, people always want to complain about it, change some things, and I think it comes out of passion, and they want what's better for the sport in their opinion. But the thing that's not going away, and I think people are not realizing it enough, is this sport, it's growing. And it is, I've mentioned this on another podcast. I think like the sport is rapidly growing. The interest, I don't think has ever been higher with this 12-team playoff and all that stuff. The coaching carousel stuff that happened this year was an absolute just storyline to follow in itself. That was an absolute circus. The sport interest has never been higher. And there's some things clearly that feel a little gross at times and we want to change it, but there's a lot more interest from fan bases. I think that the parity and the competitiveness, even if it is the top 20 teams in the sport, it's not the top 2 or 3 anymore. It's not the Saban era. It's not the Georgia from 21 to 22. Like there are still top 10, 15 teams that dominate this sport, but I would rather have 10 or 15 teams that got a shot at winning the title every year compared to 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? So it's the competitive level. It's still getting there. So the top people are still kind of taking what's theirs, but I think it's a better alternative than what we used to have.
As long as people feel like they're still in control of Saturdays in the fall, the sport will thrive.
Yeah.
And until that's truly taken away or they feel like it's taken away from them, that's when the sport will change completely.
I couldn't disagree. I couldn't agree more. I said that. I was like, Iowa State lost 4 games in a row, and we treated the Kansas game like it was a do or die situation, and it really wasn't, but it was an opportunity to win 2 or 3 more to end the year and get 8 wins. 8 wins still matters to some programs. There's a lot more teams that are playing really meaningful football in November. That's a big deal. And you just mentioned it, JP, like the attendance, these ticket prices aren't getting any lower, guys. They would be getting lower if you weren't going to the games. These people know we're crazy. They know we're sickos, and they can charge the hell out of us, whether it's morally right or wrong. That's what we got on task here. Is like, yeah, you are going to pay $500 to go watch Texas A&M. I know damn well you are, because you love this sport. And so glass half full, like, yeah, it's the interest is just going to continue to rise.
Just bring the price of beer and hot dogs down, so when we get in there, we can enjoy ourselves a little more.
Coastal
concessions.
I could get along with that. I get Coastal Carolina concession stand, free concession stand. Yeah. Do they don't do free beer there, do they? That would be nuts.
Free
popcorn,
isn't it only for the first half though, or something? Or is the whole game?
I'm sure there's always a time limit.
There's always something to it. There's always a catch. There's always a catch.
Get him to the beach.
But before we go,
turf and not the beach.
Yep, Reese, we got you.
Before we go, fellas, we're going to say 2025 was a win because you mentioned at the beginning, number 37 podcast for college football.
Like, absolutely.
I was in a desert for 8 months out of 2025. You three kept the boat afloat. You guys put in all this work, so it's like, oh yeah, cool. It's just what we do. Like, pat yourselves on the freaking back, boys. Like, this is cool. I love you guys, and we appreciate all of you fans out there. I think we got to come with something for all of our AWLs or whatever. I think we should call them the band or something.
The marching band. I think we've said that for a while,
like that. But like, we love you guys that come in and tune in to listen to us be idiots and have fun on here and talk football and just enjoy it, because this is what we do. So we're passionate about. So you guys come and hang out with us. It means the world to us. So like 2025 football season was a win. Number 37 podcast. Here's to going up from here, and here's to just keeping this thing going, boys.
Very well said, Reese. A big win for college football and a big win for Play the Fight Song. If you hadn't seen our posts already, do want to give another shout out because our listeners are awesome. 37th on the top 100 college football podcasts according to FeedSpot. Go and check it out. Couldn't have done it without you guys. And yeah, cliche, but it's just the beginning. Like 2026, we're gonna take this thing up and up.
Here we go, boys.
1.74 subscribers on YouTube. Love the hell out of you guys. Continue to subscribe to the channel, like the video. We want to hear your comments all the time. National championship college football season ends on Monday, but we'll be right back here next week. Till then, my name is Jake. That's Reese. That's JP. Cam will join us next week as well. And as always, have a great week. Love you guys. Let's play it.